Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest, Nikita Privalov, actor, chef, and musician. We've talked about what it's like to be a chef, what are some of the great people that he's worked with, and how he came up in the business there, how those have translated, some of those skills have translated the fundamentals of the kitchen into life lessons, um, and then we told the story of how we met. Now we're talking about acting right now. I like this quote by Carl Jung. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct, acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. Do you have a play instinct, Nikita? Can you go to that part of you that, you said your childhood was rough. Were you
Yeah.
allowed to be a child, or are you allowed to be a child now
Oh, I
in
mean,
through acting?
I I embrace my inner child. I That's one of the things that I hold really near and dear. And, I let it out at certain moments, and it keeps life interesting. It keeps life pure, and it makes life wonderful. And yeah, I had a rough childhood, but that doesn't mean that you have to completely, you know, forget about it and completely,
Mhm.
kind of disengage from that, and I like to incorporate my inner child into, my life, into my art, into who I am. I mean, that's, I don't sit around with a rattle and a binky, but, I embrace life with this curiosity. I was always
Yeah.
been, so I've had this childlike curiosity my whole life, and I'm never gonna. That's just who I am. I'm always wanting to, find out why. And
We let that go too soon. I think we all grow up these days, especially these days, too soon, and we let that inner play, that play of a child, that just, I don't care who's watching, I don't care what's happening, I'm in this magical world all of my own. Who would you did you ever pretend to be characters like a cowboy or a fireman or a what character would you pretend to be when you were a kid?
yeah, yeah,
Did, or did you?
yeah, yeah. I um I remember when I was younger, I used to watch these movies, and I used to like to imitate the characters in the movies. Not necessarily dress up like them all the time because I didn't have a lot of clothing when I was younger, but I would love to imitate the characters that I would see in the movies, and that would be so much fun to me. And I remember, putting on, yeah, every kid puts on a cape and bounces around. I mean, when my parents weren't around, I, I, I did a lot of things by myself when I was a child. I
You
didn't
still
have,
do that? You still put on a cape?
listen, I, Burning Man, when I go to Burning Man, absolutely. I put on capes, I put on makeup, I put on
Good
hair.
for you.
Time I run around the desert, and I have whimsical fun, and look at art and enjoy life, because life is short, and there's times to be serious and there's times to not be serious, and you can't just be serious all the time, because what is that, so.
Why do you want to pursue a life as an actor?
Well,
What drives you there?
I really enjoy the craft. I really love the process. I really enjoy, digesting a script, and studying the script and understanding where this character is coming from and who they really are, and becoming that person and understanding that person. And I just remember, when I was in school, doing different scenes and working with, different scene partners, and even doing plays. Like when you do a play, and it's like your second family. You spend more time with them than you do at home, and all of that. It's just a beautiful thing. I just always enjoyed the craft of acting.
Are
And
there emotions or subjects that you look forward to exploring as an actor?
yeah, absolutely. I would love to explore, you know, different human emotions and human conditions, because human behavior is very interesting if you really sit and watch and observe it. And the choices that humans make, why they do certain things, is all based on, you know, their foundation and their who they it's basically what I'm trying to say here, Jeremiah, is that exploring the human condition is something that I've always been interested in, and I can do that through acting. And I can observe different people. I can watch different people. Even when you do a scene with somebody else, you guys are working together to create something that otherwise wouldn't exist prior, you know? And the fact that you're able to hone the human body and make it your instrument and digest a script, it's beautiful. I mean,
And
everybody,
affect others by your performance. I'm I'm always,
you know,
you know,
that
yeah, go ahead.
that at the end of the day, Jeremiah, is very important, because without an audience, you're just who you what are you doing? You know what I mean? Because do you can't act without an audience. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you have to be providing an experience for somebody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and that's a gift. That's a
you
gift
have
that you can.
and you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility as an actor, you know, to honor, like, say you're doing a play or doing something of somebody else's work, you're honoring their work, and you're giving your best to make that a reality. You know what I mean? So it's just, there's a lot of different aspects of acting that I enjoy and that I love, and just mainly studying the human condition, understanding who I am as a person, what I am as a person, and just diving in head first and with 2 feet. I just
You ever, I've got your list of your top 10 favorite movies. Do you ever use movies, or have you used movies to express something you can't say, or you can't say accurately to somebody you care about? You ever used them that way, where you're like, almost like you use a song? Sometimes you play a song and this is
yeah.
how I feel, but I can't, they do it better than they're telling you, better than I can. Do you do that with cinema, with movies and film?
Well, you know, I don't necessarily, like, I can't really remember a time where I was like, okay, this is how this movie is telling somebody how I necessarily feel. But, you know, I would play a movie and sit down with a few people, and then we would finish the movie. One of them is Dances with Wolves. If you watch
Great
that movie,
movie.
there's a lot of similar there's a lot of through lines there that really tap into like how beautiful humanity could be, because in the movie, Civil War soldier Kevin Costner is sent out to live out on the frontier, and he builds a relationship with the Native Americans of the thing, and they know that their impending doom is that you know the white man is coming, and they're gonna inhabit the United States as we all know it did. And then it's just that relationship of how different people could be but still get along. And I get emotional talking about it because it's one of my favorite movies. And it kind of sets an example of that. If that was actually how people were, and just set aside their differences and just lived in harmony, the world would be a different place. So I play that movie to remind people that, hey, we can look within ourselves and we can be better, even though that we are different. And I fucking love that movie because of that.
Hmm.
And at the end, if you remember, he says he's on the cliff. He's yelling, "Dances with wolves. I'll never forget you. I'll never forget you."
Yeah, that's a beautiful scene. That
I'm
one.
so bad. I fucking love that movie. I really love that movie, and it just really kind of sets an example of how good humans can really be if they tried.
Mm.
So,
Perfect words to close this segment out with. Nikita Privalov, he's my special guest today. Um, love that perspective, and thank you for sharing that with us. Nikita's favorite movies. I'm going to give this list to you. I'm going to share. I'm not going to be greedy because Nikita shared this list with me, and I told him off air that it was a gift to me because I've been looking for to remind myself some of my favorite great movies, and many of them are on this list. And this is what I'm going to be watching over the rest of the month. Forrest Gump. I just saw a screening for their 20th anniversary of Forrest Gump at the Granada Theater in Santa Barbara. It was amazing. Producer Steve Starkey and friend of the show did a Q&A before. Dances with Wolves, one of the best. If not, that might be my number one. That was also my dad's number one movie. The Pianist, that I haven't seen that since USC Film School, but I love that movie. Beautifully shot. Wow, cinematography, and that's amazing. Reservoir Dogs, a favorite. A Beautiful Mind, The Truman Show, and LA Confidential. And LA Confidential really popped to me because I love that kind of that crime noir, early Hollywood, and they did a great job with this movie. I want to check that one out again. And Nikita, thank you so much for sharing your love for the film and the cinema and acting. Nikita Privalov is my special guest. We will be right back. Final segment. Don't go anywhere.